Did you realize that there has been new exposure of Nancy Pelosi's stock corruption given her current position in the US government? This became a very contentious issue. Remember to pay attention and to keep watching. Large names nearly often cause large problems. That's probably the price of being well-known people. Particularly those in positions of authority within the government face criticism for everything they say, choose to do, and say. Now, see how Nancy Pelosi's stock corruption was revealed in today's video. Nancy Patricia Pelosi, better known by her stage name, Nancy Pelosi, is an American politician who has held the position of Speaker of the U.S. House of Representatives since 2011 and until 2019. Since 1987, she has represented California as a U.S. representative. Paul Francis Pelosi, SRR, her husband, is an American businessman who founded and manages Financial Leasing Services, Inc., a real estate and venture capitalist investment and consultancy company with headquarters in San Francisco. He was the United Football League Sacramento Mountain Lions owner. Nancy and Paul Pelosi, husband and wife, are killing it on the Hill, according to The Drill Down, a weekly roundtable podcast that examines some of the most significant problems of the week in technology and the web and how they influence everyone. Nancy and her husband Paul are believed to be there if there is a dime to be made on an inside trade. Guy President Peter Schweizer told Jesse Waters on Fox News that the Pelosi's took involved in at least 10 initial public offerings. The fact that a politician's family is allowed to participate in an investment that, when it goes public, generally doubles in value is a real indicator that there is a problem. He stated, legislators are required to reveal stock transactions within 45 days, either personally or through their spouses or dependent children, in accordance with the Stop Trading on Congressional Knowledge Act of 2012. House Speaker Nancy Pelosi's husband bought 2,500 shares of Tesla stock, according to a congressional filing, while Democrats are pushing for more funding for renewable energy. According to the aforementioned document, Paul Pelosi, the spouse of the Democratic House leader, bought Tesla stock on March 17th at a price of almost XX per share. By the end of the day, Pelosi had purchased the shares at a $500 strike price, which made them worth around $2.18 million. According to a regular transaction record, Pelosi purchased 25 call options or 2,500 shares just before the Giga Berlin ceremony on March 21, 2022. Pelosi digitally signed the deal. Forbes reports that Pelosi's largest equity investment of the year is the Tesla share buy. Paul Pelosi has previously invested money in Tesla shares. Tesla's share price has risen by almost $19 to over $10.36 a share since Pelosi's purchase, making his shares valued at approximately $2.06 million. This led others to question if he is truly that talented or if there are other factors at work. It should be mentioned that President Joe Biden is under pressure to move quickly on pending legislation due to the Democrats' vigorous campaigning for more expenditure on green energy. Recently, 89 House Democrats wrote to Biden requesting that he take up the $555 billion in climate investments that are part of the stalled Build Back Better Act as the foundation for further negotiations. A group of 97 Democratic congressmen known as the Congressional Progressive Caucus unveiled a comprehensive agenda for the president that included climate-related measures that its members wanted to see implemented through executive order. Biden has backed several green technology subsidies since taking office, including as a $1,500 credit for the purchase of a new electric car. People sighed collectively as this became apparent and exclaimed, "That makes sense. The Pelosi's are cheating." People believe that Paul was removing the impacted stocks while Nancy was manipulating the market. Nancy even increased Paul Pelosi's Tesla options just a year ago. So this isn't even the first time. Democrats at the time wanted to set aside $120 billion for sustainable energy projects and an additional $34.05 billion for cars with zero emissions. Democrats expect that by include $42 in tax credits for the purchase of electric vehicles in the reconciliation plan, new auto purchasers will be encouraged to choose electric vehicles over gas-powered ones, according to a Washington Free Beacon story. However, this is not Pelosi's first expensive option wager on large tech firms. Paul Pelosi reportedly made almost $5 billion on option contracts linked to Alphabet stock since last year. The Center for Responsive Politics says a study of 2018 filings places Speaker Pelosi among the top 10 wealthiest lawmakers at about $115 million. What are your thoughts on the claim that Nancy Pelosi obtained stock trade secrets through her position and used them for her own benefit? Post your ideas in the space provided for comments below. The attention around the personal investments of lawmakers has intensified since high-profile resignations in recent months were caused by a series of trades made by Federal Reserve officials. Congress is still debating what action to take, even though the Federal Reserve, whose monetary policy initiatives aided in the stock market's recovery during the pandemic, has subsequently released regulations prohibiting authorities from making specific stock trades. Nancy Pelosi, however, asserted in December 2021 that legislators need to be permitted to trade stocks in spite of certain ethical issues. At the press conference, she said to the reporters, "We have a free market economy. They should be able to participate in that." But months later, the Democratic leader changed her mind after facing criticism, declaring that she would endorse a ban if appropriate legislation were put up. However, the New York Post claims that her remarks at the time were a little ambiguous. "I do come down always in favor of trusting our members," she remarked. "If there is any indication from some that someone is engaging in insider trading, that is a matter for the Justice Department and is unrelated to this discussion. We can't do this because we can't be trusted," is a general mentality that I just don't buy with. However, I'm fine with folks doing that if they so choose. Regrettably, Pelosi is hardly the only lawmaker engaging in such transactions. Representatives John Rutherford and John Gottheimer disclosed more than 20 stock exchanges totaling less than $500,000, selling shares of Facebook, Snap, and Etsy, and purchasing brands like Tesla, Verizon, and UPS, according to the financial data portal Quiver Quantitative. Strangely, after months of opposition, the Congress decided to forbid members from trading stocks 1 month prior to Pelosi's wild buying binge of Tesla stocks. Speaker of the House Nancy Pelosi has approved a proposal to prohibit congressmen from trading stocks. The Senate is also debating multiple versions of stock trading prohibition, one of which was co-authored by Senator Elizabeth Warren, a Democratic progressive from Massachusetts, and Senator Steve Daines, a Republican from Montana. However, there are still a lot of unanswered concerns around what kinds of investments would be barred, what new members would have to do to comply with a new regulation, and whether or not MPS families would also be prohibited from trading stocks. According to a recent survey conducted on behalf of a conservative advocacy group, 76% of voters thought that legislators and their spouses had an unfair financial advantage. The impact of recent discoveries about the extent of violations of the 2022 Stock Act, a law that was intended to limit insider trading and conflicts of interest in Congress, is also reflected in the same poll that was carried out by the Convention of States Action. It stated that 54 members had breached the rules in just the last year. The Stock Act regulations, per Business Insider report released earlier this year, whether or not members of Congress have an unfair advantage in the stock market because they have daily access to information that the general public does not, is the central question in the stock trading debate. People felt precisely this way when Tesla shares sharply increased shortly after Pelosi purchased them. It's important to note how affluent Nancy Pelosi became while working as a government bureaucracy, according to Fox Business personality Maria Bartiromo. Drew Bastianich, the creator of disruptive tech research, stated that there are even more red flags in the Congress that is among legislators and congresswomen than there are communist parades with fundamentals. They should not be permitted to trade stocks in any manner. I believe you accomplish two things with it. You outlaw it completely and observe how quickly people only hold office for a few terms because to their reluctance to give up the money and the compounding impact of their position of authority, which occurs when you can make use of insider knowledge, Lou explains. Please visit our channel and view our other videos if you like this one.